Hello, students. Today we are going to do a very interesting story by William Faulkner, and the name is A Rose for Emily. William Faulkner is an American artist who wrote novels and short stories. He had little formal education and he worked very hard in his life to fulfill his aspiration to become a writer. He is widely known for his epic portrayal, and his stories have become a classic literature. He is universally acclaimed as a multifaceted man, and this was clearly reflected in his short stories and his novels. People of all sorts and fields come into sharp focus in his literature. He was aware of the romantic pull of the past and realized that submission to the romance was a form of death, therefore, he wrote in modern style. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1947. The genuine brilliance of the author is only reflected in his earlier writings, and his literary fame rests largely on his early masterpieces, although he continued to publish his works till his later life. In this story, A Rose for Emily, an old world culture is reconstructed. It is comic as well as pathetic. Emily's character represents a set of values which, though outmoded, carried with them a faint but undying flavor of performance. The funeral of Emily, who is the protagonist, was attended by the whole town. The men, out of respectful attention and affection for her fallen monuments, and the woman out of curiosity to see the inside of her house. She belonged to the family of Graysons, who had been staunch Southerners in the Civil War. Her house was big, though in decay. In 1894, Colonel Sartoris was the mayor. Emily's taxes were remitted by the mayor. It was not out of charity, but Emily's father had loaned money to the town, which the town preferred to pay back this way, dating from the death of her father to her death. A Grayson was full of pride, self-respect, and kept apart from the common people. Emily belonged to this family. After the death of her father, she did not move at all. All the household works were done by an African male. She ran china painting classes for a few years, but that also stopped after her father's death. Two interesting events have been recalled by the author in her life. After Colonel, a new team had come into power. They sent tax notices. The mayor wished to meet her personally, but there was no response from her side. At last, a delegation is sent to meet her. She did not speak at all, and finally told them to meet Colonel Sartoris, who had been dead for more than 10 years. She lived in the past, and it was impossible for her to desert her past world. The neighbors had made a complaint to Judge Stevens about the foul smell coming out of her house. Of course, nothing could be done legally, but the complaint forced the authorities to do something. So 4 persons entered the cellars at night, and they sprinkled something to reduce the smell. After a week or two, the smell went away. So these are the two interesting events. After a week or two, the smell went away, and when she was about 30, a construction company was carried out in the town. The foreman was Homer Barron, with whom she was seen moving out. People thought that they might marry. He was an American, and a Grayson could never stoop down to marry a person who was below their social status. Her condition was fast deteriorating. She had practically nothing left but the house, which was also now going into ruins. But she held her head high. She had relatives in Alabama. The female cousins came out. After some time, they went away. Then she ordered a man's dress, and those things are required at the time of the marriage. Homer Barron was admitted in the house by the servant, but after that he was not seen at all. The death of Emily was the end of the family of one time rich in South, where slavery was most common, and these people have fought against who wanted to abolish slavery. One of the rooms was never opened for 40 years. After the death of Miss Emily, when she is 74, the doors are forced open, and a bed is seen on which a grinning skeleton was found. On a chair, a suit, a tie were found exactly as they were put there 40 years ago. The writer does not tell about the events directly, but moving in the past and future, he reveals a tale to suggest clearly what had actually happened. Emily might have thought of Homer Barron but she had poisoned him. For 40 years, nobody knew all about this. The end of the story becomes gripping and tense. Thank you.